Now, Stranger Things didn't have lyrics to their song. Maybe that's why I could always listen to it. It always kind of set the tone for me.
Yeah, it does.
It really set the tone for season 5, which season 5 didn't feel like a season. It felt like a reckoning. It's not how do we win? It was what did it cost? You know, it's
Yeah.
slower, heavier, maybe even more confident. Did it feel darker to you or more honest?
I think there were moments where I thought this is really kind of light-hearted. I think that there was like it was almost like there were two shows going on at once. I felt like there were moments, especially in episode 1, because you're seeing all these team player, these people have been together for years. I mean, obviously stuck in a town together, so clearly they've been spending a lot of time together, but a lot of like banter and teasing and kind of this. But then you've got all the darker, really heavier things going on at the same time. I mean, Dustin is not in a place emotionally where he can, in his grief and everything he's going through, he can't banter and tease and laugh. He's like going through the shit, you know, he's really affected by Eddie's death. So
yeah, Dustin's in that joy as survival mode, you know. He jokes because basically if he stops, the weight would crush him. And I think joy is his resistance. Joy, the emotion, not the other character. You know, I think laughter is armor to him, you know. And I think he feels like he's got to do that to himself because he'll protect everybody else.
mm-hmm.
You mentioned
Pain is hard.
Hawkins. You already said mentioned Hawkins in this, and this season, Hawkins is not the setting anymore. It's a wound. It's wounded. It's got cracks that didn't disappear. It's part of daily life. Like, it's crazy, and there's something deeply, deeply unsettling about Hawkins. Did it stop feeling safe for you in this season, or did it still feel warm? What was your reaction to it?
Well, it's interesting because you've got right from the get-go this like we're closed off, we're not allowed to leave, no one's allowed in or out, it's isolating. And you think about COVID, you think about what we all went through in our lifetime of having to be like, everybody stay at home, nobody travel, nobody do this, 6 feet distance from everybody. And the turmoil that caused, can you imagine if that was really happening to a town like this? That everybody would just comply to military occupation, to be like, okay, well, we're building a wall. No one's allowed in. No one's allowed out. You all have to stay here. Resume life as normal as possible, but you've got to stay here. I doubt it would go smoothly. I doubt anybody would be like, okay, whatever you say.
I'd be down there looking at that damn wall all the time, probably. I'd just be down there staring at it. You wouldn't keep me out of that town square. And where was the news cameras and everybody else from the rest of the world?
Yeah.
Did they keep all
because
that
this was
out, or what
years of isolation. There's no way that the rest of the world is just like something weird's happening over there in Hawkins. We don't know what, but on with life. I just seem to not care.
They do have the 80s on their side, since that is the time frame, so it wasn't as connected of a world. We didn't have parallel frequencies out there to tell you what's going on, you know. We had to wait for the newspaper. But then again, they did have news vans with cameras and could go out and get some stuff. So I don't know, where did this
it was kind of the birth of that, like morning news shows, get the scoop, be the first TV station to get the scoop. It was during that time. So definitely there would have been a lot more attention drawn to this, to whatever was going on here, I think. But then again, like I said, you have the lightheartedness. I feel like Robin is the central focus of that, because she's this character that's acting like it's all fine and good and what are we doing and I don't know. La-di-da.
She's the one to me that fills the gaps, and she's that person in the room that fills the silent gaps with, she's got to say something. Like, I gotta get in there. I gotta say something. And she's like overly spastic in this whole season. But once again, stands out, you know, like she's a huge standout in this all the way through. And I think all of these characters did that. They really did. Yeah, get into this. It was like they became these people.
Yeah.
And I think that was fun to watch.
her being a lifeline for Will obviously was a huge deal with that. She, even though she's a little bit more, I would say, maybe is not as deep of a character in the way that she presents herself, but definitely because she has that perspective Will needed, she ends up being a much more integral part of the relationship because she was the person for Will to be able to be vulnerable with, to be honest with, and to give him some encouragement.
Yeah.
And looks like Robin it seems like she just really wants a date. She just really wants to go out with Vicky, and they just need to get that date done.
At the steakhouse or whatever it is, And I love how a lot of comments out there about this show just in general will say, how are these kids out all the time? Is this really what it was like in the 80s? Did parents were their kids just gone and not home? Yes. Yes. So much so. Do you remember you had to be reminded, do you know where your kids are? It's 10 p.m. Like they had.
Yeah. Because when kids actually started disappearing and there was serial killers and, things were happening, then it just became like we better maybe lock this down. Maybe kind of make people aware that they should have a note on where their kids are.
Yeah. This is pre-cell phone days too.
Yeah.
Pre-cell phone. Had to be reminded, where are your kids? And I guess, a lot of parents would, I guess I better go out and find them. They get out on the front porch and start yelling their name,
I do that.
That's
I have a call for my kids or whatever I do on the porch. Kulning is what we call it. It's what they used to do in the hills for the cows. The women would stand out, and the cows had learned a melody from when they were calves, when they were babies. And so they would stand out there and on the porch, and the cows would come home. I tried to teach my kids that, but all so far I've gotten out of that is I stand on my porch and I do my little song, and I hear from clear across, like a block away, I'll hear my son go, "What?" And I'm like, having a conversation with you for a block away. That was supposed to be a come home signal. Or I have like people at the park that make fun of me, and they'll go back to me. So that really served its purpose really well. Does awesome.
I love that. Now back to Robin and Will, and really leading up to Will's moment.
Mm-hmm.
They teased it, they talked about it for a couple episodes to where it might have became overdue. I thought it was like, man, I thought you guys he should have done this a couple seasons ago. It was quiet, honest, not really a spectacle. The show didn't sensationalize it, but it did get review bombed. And this is the worst. That was the worst episode rated, was the one that he came out. And I really do hate that, because it was a beautiful, beautiful scene, a beautiful moment.
Yeah.
And done right. And it was in a way that it normalized it. It wasn't like this, what other people might perceive somebody coming out as. It was very tasteful, and I thought it was very well done. Like, I don't know why. Yeah. And that's just one of those things that bothers me out there, that you got this, you take that scene out, and this incredible episode that would be highly rated.
All great.
But yet it gets the worst ratings because people want to review bomb it because of one scene that they may not particularly agree with for whatever reason. Like that's...
Yeah, but here are my thoughts on that. And I've had some time to really reflect on that. I don't know if it's an indication of how far we've come as a society that episode did get a lower rating, or because I feel that it didn't get the low rating because he came out of the closet. I think it's because it was so overdue. And to be fair, with a little bit of criticism to the writing, a little bit just that it was a little drawn out. And I have some thoughts on that from other episodes too that I'll get to. But him getting to the point and getting to the final, now that was very indicative of what it would have been like to come out of the closet at his age in the 80s. That probably was kind of a big deal. Maybe a lot more people didn't do that back then. But to think about, as a society, we've come so far, our 2025 peoples that we are now, we're just like, yeah, we know you're gay. We've known it for 5 years. Like, we've been watching this show and people guessed it from season 1. Honestly, there were comments made. Joyce says something like how his dad had left and thought that Will was a little odd. I think the F word was used. I won't use it, but it was like, he's a little queer, so maybe dad didn't get Will. So there's been hints of it. We've kind of been like coming at this for so long. We're finally in season 5, the final season of the show. I think it's kind of a good thing to note that as an audience, we are all like, yeah. Like, you're gay. We know. It's so not a big deal to us, even though it would have been a big deal to Will in the 80s. Does that make sense?
It does totally make sense. I'd love to have some of our LGBTQIA plus members out there to chime in on this. Let us know. Was it badly rated because it was overdue? Was it too long? If you take that out of context, was the scene pretty? Was it pretty good though? Like that's what I'm getting at. Like, was this episode worth a 5.2 or whatever on IMDb?
Right.
I don't think so. But I would like to hear somebody from the LGBTQ community. Let us know what you thought about. Yeah, big time. I want to hear that.
Because that's one of the things I love about Schitt's Creek, for example, and it's very widely, not criticized. What's the opposite of criticized? It's held to a high pedestal. Acclaim. Thank you. Okay, so it's very acclaimed in that the LGBTQ community was like, hey, I love this representation of a community where sexuality is not even really discussed. It's not even really like, it's so normalized that it just is. It just exists.
Mm-hmm.
There's no judgment whatsoever. I mean, you would think in maybe like certain small towns in America, it would still be a lot of misogyny and bigotry and all of the things towards, openly gay characters. But in Schitt's Creek, they showed something different. And so I kind of like to think of it as maybe as an audience, we just didn't care that much that Will was gay. We were like, great. Moving on. Let's get back to those Demogorgons. What are they up to?
Back to the battle. Yeah, like that. Back to the battle. So maybe it was too long of a scene. Like we were.
And that's it. Ready. That's maybe the only criticism that we have about it. That and maybe that's being very optimistic. Maybe there's still people watching Stranger Things that were like, I'm just mad they had to make a character gay. That's so. Whatever.
I am absolutely certain, with sadness in my heart, I say, to know that that's going to be the truth for some people out there. All of a sudden, Will coming out as gay. Now, Will's more evil than Vecna to them. Some out of those people out there, which is insane. That's not how I feel, nor you. But Vecna, we got to see Vecna destroy that scene. That scene when he finally unleashes his powers, and you get to see the chaos he can create and control, which is really the scariest part of him. He's not all about chaos. He's controlling every bit of that. But that scene when, he unleashes. Me and Lindsay were watching it. My wife, Lindsay, and I told her, I was like, man, I was thinking, man, just stop, bro. Just stop. Like, I was thinking, that's a lot. Like, he went too far, It was insane.
Yeah.
But how he cleared out that whole area. And that's when we get to see Will's powers. His eyes roll back in his head. Does the Undertaker from wrestling. It's wild. But that whole scene right there was incredible to me.
Pivotal moment in this.
That was like
whole
midway.
Series.
That was like midway, I think.
Yeah, end of volume 1, right?
Yeah. Did you believe that their plan was going to work there? I know there was more episodes coming, but did you feel it? Like they could get this. They were going to win this.
I mean, knowing the series, knowing how this was going to go, I knew they were going to come up with plans. They were going to all have to execute their parts. I mean, that's just like classic Stranger Things across the board. But that everything was going to work just right or just perfectly? No. I mean, that's never been the case. So there's going to be a lot of like, we're going to throw this out there and we're going to throw this in there. And the whole someone or several people are going to need to sacrifice themselves in order for things to work out. And that there will most definitely be moments that we're going to be presented with. Now a choice has to be made, and nothing, this didn't work out quite the way they needed it to. And so there's this moment of this character is going to have to take that next step into sacrificing themselves. So you had that going on in volume 2, right?
A lot of that with 11, like,
again,
she's, big time. But this season and her arc, it wasn't about her getting stronger. It was more about patience, hesitation, the pause before she steps in, the question behind her eyes. Am I allowed to just exist, just be here? I think that was not a weakness for her, but it did kind of show a lot of maturity,
presented some moral conflict too on whether or not she felt like, is there going to be something for me at the other side of this? Am I allowed to have a life? Am I going to be allowed to exist as an autonomous person
after whatever happens here, right? Like, that's kind of what it was. And her sister showed back up. I mean, don't get me started. That was my probably 1 mark on the city. Actually, I got 2 marks, and the other one's controversial. But that's my 1 mark, is bringing that sister back from another low-rated episode. We didn't rate that one low because of polarizing opinions, folks. We rated that one wrong because it was trash can worthy, We rated it bad because it was trash can worthy. So bringing her back, I don't know, like, why? I did kind of get it why, because we did start questioning, is she going to turn bad? Is she going to do... So it did give us a new red herring, if you want to give it that. Like, it was a new thing to think about. But what'd you think about her coming back?
Well, I mean, it kind of makes it give us that full circle moment where it's like that episode we had when we met her, and then she was really never brought up or became any sort of important at all. It turned out to be, okay, so there's a missing puzzle piece here that we needed to know about why these kids ended up with these gifts. Why are they the way they are? And she was kind of that missing puzzle piece we needed. And then, for there to be a possibility of a ending where Will is free, that needed Callie to be able to be there. So, okay, all great. I think what happened, though, as far as the relationships and how that threw sort of a dynamic into play there was... And I'll point this out with Hopper and Joyce. So Hopper and Joyce, characters in this season, are both going through similar things. They're both confronted with that age-old parental question. And if you're a parent, we all go through this probably every single day, which is, am I doing the right thing by my kid? And that dynamic of like, am I overprotecting, or do I let them go? Is this the point in which I start to let go and let them have independence and show them that I trust them? And Joyce and Hopper are both going through it, right? With their kids. The Hopper is like, I'm really protective of Elle. I won't let her actually do anything. She has to prove herself a million times over before I'll even take her with me on the crawls or anything like that. Like, so many people are out for her. So he's being super overprotective. It drives her crazy. She just wants to be left to do her own thing. Will is also going through that. So Joyce is like, well, I'm protecting. And by the way, that's been since season 1, right? When he disappears and comes back, she's obviously going to have trauma. She's going to be like, my baby, I'm not going to let you do a single thing on your own. You're my baby. So she's being extreme about that. But then she finally says, no, you know what? I've been holding you back. You're strong. You're amazing. And I trust you. And I want to let you do your thing. And then he gets hurt. And so she's like, wait, did I totally screw this up? I mean, that whole dynamic is insanely relatable to parents. We've all been through it. So Kylie's existence in that kind of needed to be there. She needed to be there to challenge and push so that Hopper would be, like, I got to make a decision here. I've got to make a decision on whether I trust Elle or not, because now there's this other girl saying all these things I don't particularly like.
Yeah. But you're right. Like, I got frustrated with Hopper in the one scene when she's trying to time out the thunder with the jumping on the roof, and he's like, no. I'm like, man, you've seen her do crazier shit than that. let her go.
There go.
Let her go jump on the roof and count to 7 or whatever it was, like, get her over there and stop wasting time. We got Demogorgons and Vecna to battle out there.
Yep.
Okay, so you sold me Callie. Now, I need you to sell me, and this is controversial. This is the one I was going to talk about. But I need you to sell me the reason Linda Hamilton had a character in here, because she was pointless.
Yeah.
No reason other than the name on the marquee. Because if you come down to the storyline, like, we thought it was going to be a big deal, but there was nothing there. It was just another side quest, if you want to call it that. But Linda Hamilton didn't have any point into it. I'm not saying that she didn't do a great job, but her character was not needed.
Yeah, we just needed like another, not just the character, but kind of the whole part that the military played in general. I question that choice a little bit, because it did feel like, and we're bringing back plots from other seasons too, and throwing that in, and like they're like, we got to get rid of this Elle, we got to get rid of this little girl, so they're like ready to kill this little girl. They're ready to kill a little girl over this. So it throws that in, but it almost felt like in this season, it was just the original cast. You've got the kids, you've got the Hawkins heroes. I'm going to call them Hawkins heroes. And then you've got Vecna, right? And you've got Mind Flayer, Vecna, otherworldly, whatever, the rock that makes Vecna. And this is what's going on between the two of them. But the military is just this other thorn in the side of just kind of being in the way, and get off me. I don't know how else to explain it. It just feels like we're doing our thing. Can you get off? Can you just like leave me alone? I'm trying to do my thing.
I guess they did do they were the ones responsible for building the walls to the space or whatever it was that the car got sucked out of. But still, you didn't need main characters to play those roles. That could have just been in a discussion between two characters. Yeah, the military is running this thing? Yep, sure do.
Yeah.
Done.
And maybe they've got to get around what they're doing and stuff, but that they were so hell-bent on, like, we're looking for this girl and we're going to kill her. And you're like, why? Wait, she's the one saving the world. What's the point here? It felt a little bit just annoying more so than necessary.
Yeah, it did. I gotta tell you, my heart stopped in one scene. Only one. Can you guess which scene my heart? I was like, which one? It's when Steve Harrington on the tower had the one hand on.
Oh, that didn't even come to my mind. I was thinking Vecna in the cave. I was thinking Holly falling from the sky. I mean, my mind was racing all these moments, right? Yeah, Steve in the tower.
Steve, I'm going to tell you, Steve to me is the glue. He was the glue. Steve didn't have powers, no destiny. He just stayed protected and showed up when he's supposed to. He did. You think Steve knew he was the glue, or does he just act on instinct? Is that what he's doing?
He's going to be this natural nurturer. One of my favorite images that ever came out when the whole series was coming out was when they started calling him the babysitter, and they started having images of him with all the kids, because he's like, why do I end up with all the kids? And then that just became his role. Like, he was just good with being the mom. He was like, I've got you guys, like, I'm here for you. And I just kind of love that. Speaking as a woman, there's nothing sexier than a nurturing guy. So I'm like, he's playing his role perfectly, what he needs to be here. Could you imagine if they just got rid of him?
I mean, it was the finale, so it was okay, but it's still going to hurt if we lost Steve. Yeah. Because of those things you said. He does it naturally. It's like they say about animals. Kids are the same way. They can actually sense good people, and that's why the kids were always around him. And you're talking about Offset with Joe Keery himself. I've seen all that. They're attracted. Pets, kids, anything that's got, let's say, some innocence, are attracted to the things that are good naturally. Yeah. And he's got it naturally. And him being at the end of it, him being a teacher or a gym teacher, I was like, yep, that's a perfect role to make him. He got that's the happiest ending he could have got right there.
I know.
So
Sweet.
loved it. Loved his character. The finale though, nonstop, and it was long. It was over 2 hours long. This is a movie, It played out like a movie.
You knew it would be.
I noticed tons of homage to cinema. Like this, Stranger Things was always good about being fluent in cinema. And by that, I'm talking about, we already kind of touched on it, but it's that old 80s feeling from every 80s movie, really the last adventure before adulthood, They're about to grow up to be adults. And this was that last time that they got to ride off together and go battle one more thing. It just happened to be Vecna, But that's a homage, really, to me, that's a homage to Nightmare on Elm Street, the dream logic, fear, just the fear invading spaces and not being able to get out of them. I've talked about my love for isolation movies. This one is an isolated TV show. They're in a town. They're stuck. They can go to the Upside Down now, just all willy-nilly, too, by the way. They made the Upside Down mundane. Like, this ain't even the biggest plot anymore. We're just ripping between the two worlds and doing whatever we want, So, yeah, they did it right. The Duffer Brothers did it right. It's got a Goonies feel to it, even.
Yeah, it kind of does. And I will say, I mean, one of my criticisms, I think, if I have any of the series or just the season particularly, is we know from the series before that the episodes get longer and longer. There's just so much they couldn't possibly fit into just an hour episode. So they just went ahead and took whatever time they needed, and we loved it for it. And that was great. I feel like what ended up happening, though, in season 5 was they took a little bit too much liberty with that, because there were particular scenes that I thought this could have been bundled and probably been better for it. And I'm going to talk about the long goodbyes. My one and only, I think my one and only criticism, my one and only, didn't love it, was starting with episode 4. Ellen Hopper are, in this moment of I might have to go sacrifice myself again, into the lab. And they have this moment where they have to really talk about their feelings and loves and goodbyes and tears, and I may not make it back and you better make it back. And all that happened. And then it was all fine. No goodbyes necessary. Yeah. They reunited. It was okay. But that was just the beginning of what ended up being a lot of a series of these moments that I found myself checking my watch, literally just being all right, how long is this scene going to go on? Because it was Holly and Max, when they finally reached the moment where Holly can go. There's an exit for Holly and there's an exit for Max, and they have their moment. And I'm like, okay, go. You got your exit. Go, run, do your thing, play the song, let's go. And they just have this really drawn out goodbye.
They started a whole fucking podcast right there between the two exits. They did. They could have put headphones and got a microphone and started a podcast right there. You are absolutely right about that. And they both end up okay.
And they both end up okay. And that's fine. But I think that scene could have been cut down to just a couple of quick, tearful, emotional words. And then go. Same with Jonathan and Nancy in the Play-Doh puddle melting world. And they were about to die. And they realize, again, it's pivotal in their characters, because they realize maybe they really aren't in love. Maybe this isn't really it for them. Each other and their happily ever afters. Mostly because they're going to die, probably. So, okay. But the conversation and the scene that happens while the room slowly drips around them, it was just far too much for me. I felt like we could have bundled that into a couple of lines where we go, you know what? I don't think you're it for me. And that's okay. And I don't think you're it for me either. But I love you anyway. That's it.
That scene, I loved that scene. Until they didn't die.
It would have been a great payoff if they had died.
I was like, man, oh, this is bittersweet. This is them acting at the top of their acting games. This is two giants characters that are about to see their end.
Yeah. Yep.
I was like, oh my gosh, they even, at least they figured out to put the table flat, unlike the Titanic when they had the door up and, it slid off. Like, they figured that part out. But I thought, yes, I'm going to cry when the table falls through that floor and we see the slow-mo of them.
And they just,
I thought, and then it just stopped.
I know.
I was disappointed.
It made the long goodbye just not quite pay off. And
yeah,
I mean, not that we wanted to see Nancy and Jonathan dead, because we don't. I don't.
No.
But that long goodbye, come on.
It would have been, I'm telling you, if they would have died right there, that would have been heartbreaking. Like, people would have been, because you think about that long goodbye and then a payoff where they both die together, still holding hands, even though they're not together, slowly, and just, I thought that would have been the way. Like,
yeah, and it would have made people mad, but truthfully, and I think the Duffer Brothers must have known this, they could have written this last season or even the last finale episode. They could have written it a million different ways, and no possible way that everybody was going to be satisfied or happy with it. There's no possible way.
I mean,
so might as well.
We'll get to it here in just a moment. But fans didn't let it die after episode 8. But we'll finish talking about the finale, episode 8.
Yeah.
Did you like the ending? What did you think? Did it give you peace, or were you left restless?
Yeah, I thought it was great. I mean, I thought that not having anyone die, potentially, because we don't know about Elle for sure, but, ending that whole thing and not having anyone die does feel a little placating. It feels a little bit like, they were like, you know what, people will be so mad at us if we kill anyone off, so we just won't kill anyone off. So I'm not thrilled with that, but the ending, there was so many things to break down and so many little things to pick apart, and that kind of is the fun part. I think that's why people love this series, because there's so many hidden things, maybe even so much that things were read into that didn't end up being anything really. But it's fun. It's fun to find those Easter eggs. It's fun to find those things. I saw one that I particularly liked and wanted to bring up when Max finally wakes up from her coma. And this was episode 6, I believe.
6.
Anyway, so when Max finally wakes up and everybody meets her, everybody comes to see her there. Hopper is there with Elle, and they show up and they're giving her hugs, and Hopper just kind of winks at her and is like, "Nice to see you again, kid," kind of a thing. Mm-hmm. Someone pointed out, and I had to go back and look at it, Max would have still thought that Hopper was dead. So why isn't Max more surprised to see him alive? Because last she saw him, he went in to sacrifice himself in the lab and he disappeared. And she doesn't know anything about the whole Russian adventure to go and rescue him from Russia. So she ended up in her coma before all that came to fruition and wasn't there when he returned. So,
because she's been in a coma for 2 years.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
While she still was in high school. She somehow completed all of her assignments. Graduate.
I want to touch on that real quick. I want to touch on that, and I want to make Max our person we look to when we feel like we can't keep going. Because if you can be in a coma for 2 years and still graduate high school, you can be like Max, all right? You need to be more like Max. That's what we got to do out there.
Yeah.
I don't know how she did that. That's wild to me. They didn't just end a story here. They kind of closed a chapter in pop culture,
Yeah,
and
for sure.
I loved it. My final thought on the finale was I loved it. I thought it was great. They could have done anything, and it wasn't going to make everybody happy. There's no way.
Yeah.
No finale in the history of finales has ever done it. Wasn't going to happen here. I had a lot of fun after. Because as you know, we talked about it, the fans, they kept digging for those little micro Easter eggs and trying to piece together something to make sure that this was really over, and they thought it was not over. They had a date and everything planned, fans did, for an episode 9 to drop, and it was going to be basically Vecna won, and everything we saw in the finale was what Vecna wanted the viewer to see. And oh my God, the message boards, Reddit,
Oh my,
X, Facebook, everywhere was getting talked about. People were hyped up. There was also other people out there who were bashing the hell out of people, saying, "Just get over it. It's over," And
yeah. It might have just been really difficult for people to let go. And that's understandable for something that has been in part of our culture for so many years. I understand it. I get it. But as I said, I'm sure the Duffer Brothers were watching all these little clues people were putting together and saying, there's going to be another episode. There's going to be another episode. And I just imagined them watching all that and going, uh-oh, did you do? No, I didn't.
I will say this. I'm gonna go on record right now and say that this was not a bad thing for fans and fandom of a TV show to come up with these crazy theories that really did look legitimate. And it seemed like it could happen. Like, that's the thing. It was like, wait a minute. Could they really sneak in an extra episode for the finale? And the people out there who are bashing it and talking trash about it, guess what? This is going to happen at some point now. There is some young creator out there who took this all in, and they're thinking about it, and they're like, you know what? I'm going to do this one day. It won't be Stranger Things. I don't think there's a season 9 or episode 9 coming. They did put the documentary out today, or yesterday, I believe, the 12th, January 12th. Yeah, yesterday on Netflix. But somebody else out there is going to create a crazy TV show that we all love, and they're going to do this where they break the fourth wall, and there's a extra finale. The real finale will come out. It's going to happen. And I think it'll be an experience, because that's what it is. That would have been an incredible experience for all these fans around the world to put this together, find all these little Easter eggs and Stranger Things.
Yeah.
People not believe it still. People won't believe it. And then all of a sudden, an episode 9 did drop. That would have been wild. Not knocking the Duffer Brothers for not doing it. Love the finale. But somebody's going to do this down the road, and we're going to love it. We're going to go crazy. So, yeah.
I particularly loved the finale because it didn't necessarily feel like an ending. It felt like we were told and shown that these characters and the next generation of characters are going to keep going. Whether we can see it or not, it feels like it exists in some TV world reality, and they're out there playing Dungeons and Dragons right now. Holly and her friends, Erica's doing her thing and becoming a scientist, and, Lucas and Max are married and off somewhere. And, you just get this idea that it all carries on, and that's so great. And we feel warm and cozy about it. I will say, though, my own thoughts about a series or a TV or even a book. I was told protagonists in any or heroes, they're the ones that go through the most change, right? They go through the most transformation. So I started thinking about this really deeply, and I think there are two people, one for the season and one for the series, that I believe went through the most major transformation of anybody. And again, this might be controversial. I don't know. There might be people out there that'll argue with me, but here's my stance on that. For the season, I think the real secret weapon was dipshit Derek.
Yeah.
And for the series itself, for the entire thing, the person I feel like went through the most transformation, that came out of this the most empowered, was Karen Wheeler.
What a moment she had when she comes out in the hospital again and saves them from the demi-dog. That was straight out of an 80s, woman-led action flick for sure. And yeah, you're right. I haven't thought about that. Those are two great answers.
Don't mess with us moms.
You know what the most unrealistic thing to happen on all 5 seasons of this show was? The scene with the 4 of them on the rooftop at the end of the Squawk. Robin, Steve, Jonathan, Nancy, I believe. Yeah.
Yep.
When they say we're going to drive halfway or whatever and meet each other once a month or whatever, that ain't happening. That's never happening. You're not staying around with your friends and meeting them up all the time. Some are off to college and some are not. You're done. That's done. I'm sorry. But that one right there, I was like, no, I can I can believe the Vecna and the Demodogs and the alternate realities and Upside Down and all that, but I can't believe the four of them are going to get together every week or whatever, every month for now. I did love that scene because there's a big, big Easter egg homage right here, and I think it's to Reality Bites. They have the same scene in Reality Bites with Winona Ryder and Ethan Hawke on that roof.
That's right.
Robin is Ethan Hawke's daughter, and I think that's a homage to the Reality Bites scene. Right? But it's got to be because it's the four of them sitting up there, the same thing, same conversations.
Yeah.
I think it is. It's got to be on purpose.
Yeah.
I love
they're
this
optimistic. We were all optimistic teenagers at one point and thought that the friends we had were going to be friends with forever. And that's all that was.
I couldn't be friends with those guys I cut that Christmas tree down with anymore. Man, we'd be in jail somewhere. But no, I love this series. I love the show. I love any of them like it. One recommendation I'll give you, Welcome to Derry. That's your next Stranger Things. If you want something, you still got the feels, they say. Welcome to Derry is only on season 1. If you want more shows like this, we never asked for this, but you can hit subscribe to us at Parallel Frequencies Daily. That's all one word, at Parallel Frequencies Daily. Coco, I think I'm done here. You got anything else for the people?
I think that about wraps it up. Love Stranger Things and ready for our next adventure.
Yeah, you know what? We got to see these kids grow up. We did too. I'm glad we got to experience this together. Everybody out there, we'll see you next time right here.